All right, AGY back for another little round table podcast. Excited to be here. We got a couple things that we're going to dive into. We're going to talk about in-season lifting. We're going to talk about the new NWSL CBA that was signed a couple weeks ago. But we're going to start off with a couple things. I want to start off with, since we sat on last, what was the funniest thing that happened in your life? What was funny? Tay, you got the mic. We'll let you start.
Whoa, in our life. Funniest thing that in our life, man, my whole life is a joke of some form. I was thinking more of like recently.
Oh, anything.
I thought we were talking about over the weekend.
Yeah, recently, since we chatted last.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of funny things. No, this past weekend I went and got brunch with Kyra and another friend. Her name is Reagan. And we went to Mildred's. I don't know if you guys have been to Mildred's. They have a couple locations. There's one in Brookside. We went to the one in Brookside.
Nice.
Anyway, so we ordered our food. Love Mildred's. Got all of our food, but they kept like bringing us more and more food. And we're like, what is going on? Like, why do you keep giving us food? And this lady's like, this is your order, isn't it? And we're like, no, we have all of our food. We don't need any more. And it happened not once, but twice. So we got an extra like breakfast biscuit and then like a whole plate of, I think it was a quiche and potatoes or something like that. And we're like, what are we going to do with all this? We can't eat it. We already ate our breakfast. So we sat there with like 2 full plates of food for like 30 minutes. Another couple comes and sits next to us. And we're like, we're really not going to eat this. Like, do you want it? Do you need it? And I think one of them was kind of hesitant, but then the woman was like, yes, please. We have like, I love food, first of all, but also we have raccoons. And I was like, yes, please take all this food because feed the raccoons.
She feeds raccoons?
I will prioritize the raccoons over myself any day. So that was the funniest and probably a more bizarre interaction that I've had this past weekend. So now I can say I fed raccoons before.
There you go. Ty, what you got, man?
I don't know. The raccoon story is going to be hard to top. Over the weekend, I didn't really do a whole lot. My weekends consist of watching a lot of football. One thing that did happen, though, is when my dog, she loves to go outside, and I like to rile her up, get her overly excited. Forgot to open the screen door quick enough.
Oh, yes.
Right through it. Knocked the whole thing off, but glad it was a screen door and not the glass door.
I could watch like Instagram videos or reels or whatever, TikToks of people doing stuff like that just all day. All day.
Didn't open it quick enough and straight through it, gone. But
You got to be quicker.
yeah, it's my fault for getting her overly excited. So she was like, yeah, let's go. Right through it.
Maggie, what you got?
On the topic of animals, so my dog, we drove past this park. I'm still new to KC, so I don't understand what everything is. But we were driving past some park, and we saw goats.
Yes, Sarco Trails Park. Yep.
Yeah, and it's
I
like
love goats.
it's like goats at work, and I think they eat the grass. So I was like, oh my gosh, Finn, we need to introduce him to the goats. That's my dog's name. So we go there, and it just so happens to be the Spinach Festival. So it was popping, and my husband Sam was like, yes, the Spinach Festival. So we get out of the car and we're walking towards the Spinach Festival, and there's this bridge, and my dog hates bridges, any sort of like cracks in the road he's scared of. So we get up to the bridge, and it's one where you kind of got to go single file, and there's people behind us waiting, and Sam is holding Finn. And if you've ever seen Elf, where he goes up the escalator and it's like a couple stops, and then he's like, whoa, that's literally what my dog was doing. Like, he wanted to go, but then he was scared, and we were holding up the traffic, so I was just letting everyone go. And finally I was like, Sam, like, maybe he needs his mom to help him. So I went over, grabbed the leash, and he went right away with me. And Sam was like, oh my gosh,
That's
this little sucker. So it was funny. But the Spinach Festival was good.
Nice. So is spinach like the new bacon? Like, are we?
I don't
We've had
know
Bacon
why
Fest,
it was
now
called
it's-
Spinach Festival.
There wasn't
I
spinach
didn't
at
see
Spinach
any.
Fest.
I didn't see any spinach.
The goats must have eaten it all.
What?
It was just like a farmer's market.
Yeah.
Everyone
So-
was carrying around green bags that said spinach on them. So maybe there was spinach in the bags.
Maybe.
But
The bags were made of spinach.
So that bridge,
yeah.
I've had the worst bike accident on that bridge.
You know the bridge.
I do know the bridge. I was hauling the twins behind me. We were riding our bike to the park that's up there. And I must have just clipped coming off of it. And the twins carrier like hit it and it just shot me off the bike. I'm so embarrassed. So embarrassed.
Yeah.
Grown ass man falling off his bike on that bridge. Because it is tight.
It is tight. It's a dangerous bridge.
That's funny.
Well, I need probably you to answer this question actually. So, what park are we? Where are the goats at?
So it's Sarco Trails Park.
Okay.
It's on 87th and Lackman. So very close to the gym.
You gonna go
Okay,
goat
yeah.
sightseeing later? or-
Yes.
They're adorable. I don't know if it's something like they eat grass and then when it goes through them or what, like it replants things. I don't know. But it's like 2 years in a row that they use it to like reset the nature.
Okay. 2 quick notes before I tell my funny story. Have you guys ever heard of or been to Faulkner's Ranch? And
I've heard of it. Yes.
You should go because
Is that the one up north, Liberty?
no, it's like more like Raytown area. If you get on 435, and then there's like the Raytown Road exit.
I work right. The hospital's right down the street.
Like the fall for like they do it's like pumpkin patch, but like there's goats and other farm animals, so you can feed the goats, and they're like they've got like their little play place. It's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Faulkner's Ranch. And they just like do their little like parkour stuff. Off
So, question: can you pet the goats?
yes, pet the goats, feed the goats.
Can you carry the goats?
No, they're in a cage kind of.
We should do an AGY goat yoga.
Okay.
That'd be fun.
Have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
Little baby
Mark
goats.
A, I think, does those. So, on the topic of animals, I mean, my funny story is also going to be about my dog. So, just continue that train. But I have 2 dogs, and one of my dogs, Mabel, who's the crazy one, my younger one, likes to just get into stuff all the time. So I was like, I let them outside. We have a big fenced-in backyard, and I'm like, Mabel. She's like nowhere to be found. And our yard's pretty big, so like you kind of have to go like around the side of the house to see like the side yard and on the other side. So I check one side where she usually is. She's not there. I like pop in the house for a minute, emailing her name. She's not there. Check the other side. Well, actually, what happened first is I hadn't even gotten to the other side yet. I'm on the patio walking across to the other side, and I see the neighbor's dog in their yard. And I'm like, great. So the neighbor's dog's out. And then I'm like, holy shit, that's my dog in the neighbor's yard. And I'm like, Mabel. And she looks at me like, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then so she's like coming over. And so I turn the corner to the yard. One of the fence pickets has fallen down, but I'm talking like a 6-inch wide fence. Like she somehow squeezed through there. And then so I'm calling her over, and luckily the neighbor's dog wasn't out, so they haven't actually like met, and I don't know how that would have been, but I'm calling her over. I'm like, come on. And she's like, oh, I don't know how to get back through. So it was a whole ordeal. So I'm like, I don't want to have to go like around and like knock on their door and be like, my dog's in your yard. So I literally was like trying to pull her through, but every time I'd like try to pull her, she'd like, nope. And so, oh my God, it was like, I'm not kidding. I was like, someone needs to be videotaping this for a full 10 minutes. I was out there like, get your ass over here, but also like trying to be quiet so the neighbors would come out. And I literally have a video of her, like me walking down and like videoing through the fence, and she's just like chilling in their yard.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I did get her back through, but it took like a full bag of like jerky treats and me just being like, get here now.
Oh
So,
my God. I'm just imagining like driving by, seeing Lainey just at
trying
the
to pull my dog.
fence.
I had to go in and get a crowbar and like pull. Yeah, I pulled another fence picket off, and I was like, I'll just fix it later. So for like her to like go through, she's like,
smart.
maybe I'll go through. I'm like, yeah, you better come through.
That's so smart.
That's my story.
That's freaking hilarious. Silly Mabel.
So mine is from Brooks, our comedian. He had a buddy over. I was taking the buddy back, and I hear them talking about like back in the olden days. So I knew they were talking about me. And then Brooks comes up with, Dad, what was your dinosaur's name? Like I'm old enough to own a dinosaur instead of a pet dog. Like, bro, you're a dick. That I'm not that old. Not that old. Yeah, so that cracked me up. So not as funny as the cool animal stories, but it'll do. What's the best thing that happened? Maggie, you go first. Best thing that happened since we hung out last.
I had the pleasure of watching. What?
I thought you were going to say the thing, but keep going.
What thing?
There was a secret that's not a secret.
Oh, well, that wasn't this past weekend, but I can say that.
But it's since we saw you last.
Oh, yeah.
Like since we did this last.
I got married.
Yes.
It was going to be a secret, but then I was too excited, so I was like, I want to share with the world. So I have a husband, which sounds... Fiance sounds a lot more like fluffy.
Yeah.
Husband is like... Yeah. Shit, I'm stuck.
Why'd you say it like that? You said concrete.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, you do the other one too.
Well, the other
don't
one
wanna
was
steal it
just
from you.
that I got the pleasure of watching my friend Izzy Rodriguez play her game.
Yeah.
On Saturday, her whole family was there and some of her friends from Michigan that I know. So she had a whole, 10 people crew watching her. She got to start, which she hasn't been starting. So that was fun. And they
Nice.
won.
Finally.
Yeah.
First game in 3.
I know.
Brutal. Ty, what you got?
My Niners won on Monday night, so that's pretty good. Starting 1-0. Me and my girlfriend bought our tickets to go back to San Francisco for a game too, so that'll be fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
That's exciting.
Tay?
My best friend and I, we went to Greek Fest. I don't know if any
I
of you...
didn't go to Greek Fest.
Huh?
I didn't go to Greek Fest with
Why
you.
not?
You said your best friend. But Lainey didn't go.
Ah,
Okay, sorry.
you're funny.
Bad joke.
Yeah, so Kyra and I went to Greek Fest. I don't know if any of you have been there before. It's a lot of fun. It was super random, which Kyra is very random. She'll find Spinach Fest. She'll find something like that. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of really good food. They had some dancing and a lot of other cultural events going on. But I think the best part was the food. I got I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Baklava, which is like a sweet, it was so good. It's like
No idea.
oh my God. I don't even know how would you explain it?
Isn't that kind of like a
It's like
bread,
croissant texture. It's
Yeah.
flaky.
yeah.
On the bottom, yeah. I don't think I'm doing a very good job.
We need to have a baklava taste.
yes.
Next
It
one.
was so good.
We'll talk coffee and baklava.
Perfect. I don't know
get
where
a
we're going to
gyro?
find that. I did get a Euro. Yes. Always.
You have to.
So good.
Yeah. Those
Can't go wrong.
I went to a fest, not the Greek Fest. I went to the Prairie Village Jazz Fest.
Why didn't you invite me?
Because I knew you were probably busy doing other things. Yeah, it was fun. It was surprise. So it was right by Shawnee Mission East. There's that park, Harmon Park, I think is called, which is huge. I've never been back there. The playground is really cool. I know your kids probably don't like playgrounds anymore, but I was like, they had a merry-go-round in the floor, in the ground. That's so cool, and it's safe.
Did you get on it?
No, because there was little kids on it, but I would have.
It's fake.
But I was genius. Then there's not kids actually flying off the merry-go-round because you can just kind of roll off of it.
That was some of the best part though. Hang on as long as
It was
you
the
can.
Yeah.
best part.
So that was the best part of Jazz Fest. I think was just watching the kids. No, the jazz was good. It was there was several different acts. They all played for an hour and a half. We really only stayed an hour and a half, but yeah, it was fun. I thought it was gonna be singing and stuff too, but it was really just music. But I was shocked at how many people were there. I'm not kidding. There was 1,000 people there.
Wow.
It was insane.
That's awesome.
But the park is big enough to hold that many people, which also blew my mind because I didn't realize that was back there. So that was pretty cool.
that is really cool.
Fun. Yeah.
Nice. Best part of my weekend was just it was beautiful out and got to watch Brooks plays football and soccer. Good dad weekend.
Love.
Just did that. Cool. I love it. Let's transition into in-season lifting. What does it look like for kids now? What did it look like for you three? So just want to, we're right in the middle of high school season for the boys, club season for the girls. So let's dive into some in-season lifting chat. Okay, you want to start with what did it look like up at Iowa State? What was it, 5 years ago?
What year are we in?
2024.
2024. So I graduated 2019.
Yeah. Wow. She's
Okay.
old.
So
That's scary.
5, 6, 7 years ago.
5, 6, 7
What did it
years
look
ago.
like up at Iowa State?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, season in and out of season didn't really look, if I'm remembering correctly, didn't really look very different season to season. I don't know if that's because of my coach kind of having a say in what the strength and conditioning program was supposed to look like. I don't know. But it was really about getting strong. We were constantly lifting heavy, trying to get as strong as possible. And we were really, really strong, which can be great. I don't know if that really helped us on the field a whole lot. I feel like I got into my sophomore, junior year, and it was really, really difficult for me to pick up my legs at one point. Granted, again, it's really cool to be strong, but not as cool when you can't run for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
So,
The main thing's sport, right? Being able to play soccer.
yeah.
So were
Yeah.
you guys maxing too?
Yeah.
Or was it just RPE hit this, or were we maxing in season 2?
Again, if I'm remembering correctly, it felt like we were either getting close to our max or maxing out. But the biggest thing that I don't remember is there was really no relation back to sport, kind of like what we do here. It was all just, again, very how much can you deadlift? How much can you back squat? There was rarely any performance or any sort of purposeful agility drills. It was all, again, can you deadlift so and so pound? Can you back squat 400 pounds?
Yeah. No bridging the gap from practice to lifting.
No.
Yeah. And how that should somewhat correlate maybe
Right.
to make you then, a better athlete.
Right.
Why are we doing it?
Exactly. Which at the time, I don't think any of us really, the players, I don't think any of us really recognized what was happening. So yeah, we were all really excited and motivated to be strong and thought it was awesome. And it is awesome. But again, we all, as we stayed and got stronger, got to the point where it was holy shit, I can't move anymore. I'm exhausted after one sprint. Yeah. So that's kind of how it was. But that experience also kind of influenced me to do what I do now and explore and learn about, what's best for all athletes. So,
Ty, what did it look like up in Iowa it wasn't Iowa Lakes, right?
It was Iowa Lakes.
It was Iowa Lakes, the Lakers.
Iowa Lakes and then South Dakota State for a bit. So my experience was almost the opposite. So we didn't do a thing. In season, we would stop right before season start. I think the belief and the idea was if you strength trained in the season, that was going to lead to more injuries, when it's actually the opposite. Because in my sophomore year, about midway through the season, I pulled my hammy pretty bad enough that it took me over a month to get back to even feeling functionally right. So that's one of my biggest things, and it just helps so much with muscle fatigue. But my biggest thing is we didn't touch weights at all in season. So you almost hit this plateau and then just slowly decline as the season goes on. And it almost just feels like just your muscles just can't take it as much, you know?
Maggie? What was
Yeah,
it was
so
like at Ohio State just years ago.
I went through quite a bit of different strength and conditioning coaches. So I think styles changed a little bit as I progressed. My senior year, unfortunately, I was just in upper bod squad because of my ACL. So I was hitting it pretty hard.
I never heard that before. That was amazing.
I can't speak to my senior year. I do think it got better. But my freshman, sophomore year, if I remember correctly, we did a lot of body weight circuits throughout season. We would lift pretty heavy in the summer. We all of us like loved the lifting in the summer and the spring, and then we got to season. Those of us who liked being strong and knew it was good for us would always miss lifting. We would do a lot of like push-ups, sit-ups, that type of stuff. I think I was talking to Jason the other day how a lot of the stuff we do here, I have never done before within athletics. So I think that stuff is stuff that I think we should be seeing more in the college and even as young as high school game.
It's just wild to me that it is in so many ways like still so archaic that even though you have to have all of the fancy degrees to get into those rooms to be a college strength and performance coach, that you look at times and you're just like, what in the F are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, to maxing in season, like love strength in season. Obviously we do it. There's a bunch of benefits, but like you've got, what were you guys playing? Tuesday, Saturday? Or not Tuesday, Saturday, like Friday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday.
Friday,
Thursday.
Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, volume of like in-season college and high school athletes is dumb. So to like be like, yeah, let's get under the barn max seems wild to me. But also like doing nothing is equally as wild to me. So, you know, Lane, you write a lot of our programs. When you're writing an in-season strength program, what are some variables that you are looking at when you write that for the athlete?
Yeah, I think one thing that we have the opportunity and the privilege to do where we're at that stands us out from other places, but also just maybe other facilities also don't have the opportunity to do is just like individualized stuff to the degree that we're able to do, which is really cool. So I would say, you know, that being kind of number one, just knowing who's in front of you. Two, I think when I'm approaching it and thinking about it, it's just keeping the main thing, which goes back, I think, to like, we're here to play soccer, we're here to, you know, play a sport. How can I write you a program that complements that to the best of my ability to keep you feeling strong, fit, healthy in season? Yeah.
Since you played most recently, coaching here now, as you look back at what was versus what we're doing now, what do you look at and be like, damn, I wish it was that way?
A lot. I think with us here at AGY, a lot of the sports performance stuff that we do, the agility, the, you know, stuff that makes you quick on the field and know where your body is in space. I think sometimes, I think that's why I got hurt a lot of the times. I tore both my ACLs. I think I didn't do enough of that stuff, but also lifting for power, lifting for sport versus lifting just to be strong. I think those movements, such as our landmine movements, super important. I didn't do any of that at OSU. And so also going back a little bit to what I think we do here better than at OSU is checking in with our athletes and also knowing like where they're at. Like, did they just play games? Are they super sore? And kind of adjusting for what they need and what they enjoy as well.
So coming from a program that did nothing, what do you look at now and you're like, if only we did, what could have been?
Even just like one day strength training, like when I was in college and stuff, you kind of trust your coaches and
For sure.
stuff, and you're like, oh, okay, there's a reason we're not doing it. But now going through everything I've gone through and kind of learning the stuff I've learned, it's like, wow, we missed so many opportunities to be better as athletes. And to kind of piggyback off kind of what Maggie was saying, and then a little bit with like what Taylor was saying, is what I love that we do is game-based movements is a lot of the stuff we do. Like, why are some people maxing out on deadlift? How is that going to benefit you on the field? Versus kind of like Maggie said, curtsies, that's going to help you change a direction a lot more. Soccer is so much utilized with hips, so good hip movement, hip strength, and stuff like that it's the little things that I think we missed on.
Tay, you have a unique perspective, one from playing and having that experience environment, and then now being with us for several years and going through like the program that we put the rest of our athletes through, and kind of compare and contrast maybe those, and like what are your thoughts there, and what do you see and what do you notice?
Like comparing my experience
Yeah.
at Iowa State versus my experience training.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've talked with you briefly about it, Jason. Just after training here, I have felt the best athletically, moving, strength-wise, just overall in general on the soccer field than I have ever felt when I was in college, when I was in high school. Again, I think it goes back to, what everyone's touched on. There's a relationship between the strength movement with, that movement you see on the field, whether it's a deadlift, whether it's a landmine, whether it's, anything else, split squats we're putting another movement that relates back to it, a power movement, to have that correspondence, that understanding. When I do go step on the field, I feel way more confident in linear acceleration, multi-direction, any of that than I ever did when I was in college, which I completely agree with Tyler. It's like, thinking about it now, it's frustrating because, like you said, we trusted our coaches, we trusted strength and conditioning coaches. And when you're in that like mindset, I'm not going to be there and question you, because I think like you are obviously superior to me since I'm the player and you're the coach. And so, yeah, no, definitely. I feel strangely and gratefully much quicker, faster, stronger than ever, which is also bizarre to think about.
Yeah.
That my 27-year-old self is faster, quicker, stronger than my 18, 19-year-old self. So, yeah.
My 45-year-old self is faster, quicker, more explosive than my 20-year-old self.
Yes.
So like, I hated it at the time. I love it now. But my baseball coach down at Ottawa used to joke with me. He'd ask with all seriousness, he's like, can you even jump out of the grass? Bro. Like, that's how unathletic as a pitcher I was. And that was 5,000 years ago with my dinosaur, that we never did any strength. Like, when I got to Ottawa, it was the first time we ever went to the weight room. Our off-season conditioning program was having one of the cheerleaders lead us through Taibo. Are you even old enough to know what Taibo is?
No.
It's like this, I don't even remember the guy's name, but it was like boxing fitness. And so the cheerleader would stand up, all of us baseball players would be there, and we would do like Taibo. is our conditioning. And then
That sounds really fun, actually.
The lift was then just like the basics, but we did it at 5:30 in the morning so that, quoted, you guys don't go do stupid shit in Lawrence. That's why we're coming in early. There was no like, this will help you throw harder. This will take care of your arm. It was just like, we are doing this because I want to make sure you don't go out at night and it's dark so we can't go onto the baseball field. So yeah, that was my strength journey. And now I sit back and think like, damn, like what if like I threw pretty hard, I stayed healthy. Then it's just like the one goal, wanting to go to that next level. I think the missing piece was probably the communication of how important a strength and conditioning program would be. So to kind of finish on this, as we look at, again, programming for in-season strength for our athletes, how many days a week, obviously the right answer is depends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know what I say when I talk to parents and athletes. What are you telling parents and athletes for in-season strength of kind of a guide-ish?
Yeah, I mean, I think 1 day a week has to be the minimum. I mean, like, otherwise, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But really, I think that sweet spot is 2 days a week. Again, dependent on the week and what we have going on that week. Did we come off of a big tournament? What is our practice schedule? What is our school schedule? There's so many variables now to consider, but I really do think it's important to just squeeze it in. We're offering the 30-minute lifts right now, which just is short and sweet. Like, that's 30 minutes of your day. Find the time to do it. I really think you would see benefit from it to continue to do that at least once a week, hoping you could do it twice a week throughout the season. Yeah, just to kind of, hit on going hard and lifting all the time to never lifting in season. I think it really just comes down to finding the sweet spot between that, right? So like, we're not going to be maxing in season, but we are going to be touching weights that are at a high percentage to keep you strong. So not that anything has to be crazy. I think that's another thing is people think that they have to go in and do something off the wall because they see off the wall things on Instagram. And so like, really, we don't do anything. I mean, yeah, we do some stuff that's off the wall, but like if we think about our main lifts, like we trap bar, we split squat, we front squat, and then our landmine curtsy, which is maybe a little off the wall to some people, but we found that works for us. But more than anything, I think you don't have to make it a whole production for it to work well for you in season.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Anybody else want to throw anything down on some in-season lifting before we hit the last little topic of the pod? I think the cool people call it.
The pod. That's funny. I mean, I think Maggie touched on it a little bit too. Another thing that we consider is like a conversation. Like we're always talking with our kids, asking what's up. I don't think I ever experienced that in college. I don't know about you two if you did, but that also plays a huge role into, the days that kids are coming in and they can come in is, we can adjust. The 30-minute time slot is perfect. So, yeah.
I think if it's especially our kids who have aspirations of playing in college or further, the high school kids, like if you're serious about that, you need to be making the time to get a lift in.
Absolutely.
Sweet. I love it. Let's switch gears away from us into the world at large. So NWSL signed a new collective bargaining agreement, which is awesome. So I just wanted to take a few minutes, kind of on our "This is what's happening in the world right now" segment, and just talk about that. They in there, I think the 5 big things were the removal of the amateur draft, unrestricted free agency when contracts are up for everyone. Players' trades now require player consent. The player minimum salary is taking massive jumps over the next years, and so is the salary cap. So when I look at the amateur draft, at least locally, we've had one athlete that's worked with us, and then two that, they just go to school around here. And it felt to me like the current drafted them simply as like a feel-good story, or let's get our name on the news by drafting the local kid, but really had no interest in really developing them, and no real intent of looking at them as like, yeah, they are a part of going forward. So I look at the draft removal as like, those kids aren't, the local kids won't get drafted just to like be the feel-good story, and then they're out of soccer before camp even breaks because there was real no intent to keep them. Where do you guys sit on, anybody have any opinions on removing the amateur draft either way, good or bad?
Yeah. I think it's a good thing, just having some friends who are going through it and watching them have to, at any moment, know they might get traded and have to pack up their bags and move. And we've kind of talked about how low the salary is for a lot of them. And so a lot of these players have other sources of income, or, they're big in the community. And then when at the drop of a penny, is that the saying? Yeah. The drop of a penny, they could have to go across the country. I think mentally that's very hard and stressful, and I have seen it with my friends and them going through it. And from the outside, I think this is a good step forward, including the salary raises. I mean, with this economy, you can't make a living off $40,000.
Yeah, if they were millionaires, I think pack your shit and go is way easier to swallow than where it's at right now.
Yeah, and kind of having a say in your life. That sounds cool.
It definitely sounds cool.
I'm also wondering, like, I just thought about this, if sometimes going into the draft, the team, because there is a draft, like the current, for example, like just draft someone because we have to draft someone, right? Like,
Yeah,
you have the draft pick, like you might as well pick someone, but knowing then like later in the season, like wanting to make trades, like, so I'm going to draft you because we're doing the draft, we're in the draft, but like I'm not actually going to keep you because I actually want this person who's playing on this team, and so I'm going to make a deal with that team to get that person to make my roster stronger. I don't know if that actually goes on, but I just thought that it's like it would be a good strategy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting thought.
So that eliminates some of that then, in the sense that, again, like just being drafted to be basically a practice body until we don't want you anymore. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I didn't have.
It looks like you're going to say something.
yeah, and I like how not having the draft and then the unrestricted free agency for everybody. Like, I don't know, like looking at like the NFL draft, like it's cool that you're the number one pick, but you're the number one pick because the team you went to sucks. Like for myriad of reasons, right? It could be ownership, could be managerial, could be head coach, could be player development, whatever. But like, I look at it, it's just like, it sucks. The best people have to go to the worst teams.
Yeah.
And so now you remove this, and then you also remove then the control that, once you sign your contract, like when they draft the local kid, like with the draft came like, I owned your rights for X number of years. So even though I have no intent of using you, we're actually going to like let you go, but you can't sign with anybody else until we grant you your release. Was just the wildest thing to me. So I love it all where, I feel like it's going to hold clubs accountable, right? Like you have to have good ownership, good management, a good team vibe. Otherwise, you're not going to get the best players. So I like it. I like all that.
Yeah, I think I agree. That could be huge, especially when you're talking about, like you said, like the culture of the team and how that can influence people who are coming, people who are leaving. Hopefully we'll see some change.
I think there's going to
some
be two
people.
interesting things that might happen. I think one, clubs might look to try to draft more college people sooner than them just knowing that they're going to come into the draft. I think that there's going to be more people trying to grab those people who are in top programs and who are, performing really well at the collegiate level. So I think there's going to be more of that.
So almost like NIL poaching in a way.
Kind of,
Be
yeah.
like, forego your eligibility. Let's do this
Yes,
now.
I see that happening. I really do. And then
It makes sense with them signing like 14-year-old kids now.
Right. And then I also will be curious to see, since there is no draft, how that goes for the clubs who are ranked top of the league versus bottom of the league. So if you're bottom of the league, you can't draft anyone now, so who's going to come play for you? That's going to be very interesting, I think.
Agree.
Yeah.
It's going to influence some change.
Yes.
Something's got to change within your club. Ooh. Could get saucy. I don't know.
And I think, the next one was the player consent for the trades. I know when we talked about this on Monday a couple days ago, I was under one opinion that I was like, nah, like it's a business. Like you signed up to be a part of the business, that if it makes sense for the team that's operating the business, you should get traded. You shouldn't be able to say no. But then diving into the article, diving into what, you kind of brought up is these are not, at the NWSL, they're not $1 million athletes that can just be moved away. A lot of them have second coaching jobs. They're trying to, take their minimum salary, which, next year's bumping up to $48,500. That's not a lot. Especially, like I couldn't imagine making that and playing in San Diego. Bro, like you can't even pay your rent on that, right? So these athletes are having to really dig into the community for different revenue streams. And so when I kind of read that, then I was like, yeah, that makes complete sense. Like until they're paid like the other major sport leagues where a move across town or across the country is whatever, like
Yeah.
it cost me 1/10 of my salary to make that move, as opposed to going from like San Diego to, or even like moving from KC to San Diego, like that trade where cost of living's pretty reasonable here. And then all of a sudden, she's like, I gotta live with 4 people because I can't pay my rent. That just is wild. And I don't think any professional athlete should have to have multiple roommates to thrive.
No, not under those stressful conditions. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic.
Oh my God. I cannot imagine.
But then in 2030, it's going to go from 48.5 to 82, which is still far below, but they're getting there. I love that for them that they're getting there.
See where the economy is also. Like, is that going to continue to rise? So then
Yeah.
we would be in the same spot.
Yeah, still can't pay rent with 82 5 years from now. That's fair. That's very fair.
I mean, I hope it's not, but yeah.
And then, do we just want to sprinkle in a little Alex Morgan appreciation here at the end because, she just played her last 13 minutes of a match on, was it Saturday or Sunday?
Sunday? I think it was Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I found out that she played 13 minutes and they pulled her off, I was like, what the hell? Why do we even play for? And I'm
She
like,
scored,
she's
huh?
now number 13. Duh.
Right? Didn't
That's
she
her
score?
thing.
I think so. It was like she scored in the 13th minute and then they took her off, but maybe not. I could be spreading rumors.
I don't know. I was at Brooks's soccer game. I mean, how magical would that be if that's the case? But I mean, I think the the era that she was on the national team, right? Like Mia Hamm and the 99ers were, I think,
That's mine.
they were the generation that made soccer popular, women's soccer popular. And then I think Alex and her generation got it to, at least at the national team level, to equal footing where they equally matter. And now, so I think that's amazing. And now it's just like what is like Trinity Rodman, Sophie Smith's generation going to be like? Can they get it bigger than the men's game? Which I think from a national team standpoint, I think the women's national team is a bigger event. Like I would way rather watch our women's national team compete than the men's national team at this point.
Agree.
And even professionally, I would rather watch the NWSL than the MLS.
100%.
Yeah.
There's a show on Netflix that just, I think, came out about the women's national team about 2023 when they got out in the Sweet 16 of the World Cup. And it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I recommend. Yeah, because it dives into how the sport has transcended since the 99ers and kind of just like the pressure of how we were winning games, but the world was like, this is not good enough, So it's interesting.
Yeah, pissed off that like we win 13-0, and then we're like, did you really have to do that? And then we win like 4-1. It's like, should have scored more goals.
Exactly.
What the hell do you want?
Yeah.
So awesome. I love it. Anybody want to throw anything out before we wrap it up?
Wrapping it up, I just feel like there's a lot of really cool momentum in women's sports in general, not just soccer, but basketball has taken off. I just think it's really cool. So that's all I really have to say. I'm just really proud of us gals.
Hell yeah. Go girls.
Go girls.
Go girls. Yeah, no, but for real, it's been
really fun to watch.
You know what? It's been a long time coming. We've deserved this for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
It's time to get the recognition.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of cool,
I'm so sorry if that was loud.
I think there's a lot of cool, younger kids now, like Brooks Hensley's age, growing up and seeing just like, I think it also comes down to just coverage of women's sports. There's so much more coverage, which is amazing. So then they see that on TV and they're like, wait, they're doing exactly what the boys do.
Yeah.
And it's badass.
I mean, coverage is important. It's
Yeah.
so important, right? Like Hensley, my daughter, she's not into sports.
Yeah.
But she will sit down and watch every current game when it's on
Awesome.
with us. And she gets into it and she knows chewing it. And she gets so excited every time she gets the ball and expects her to score a goal, right? And same thing, Brooks will ask, like, what games are on? And I'll say, the current versus whoever, sporting versus whoever. These are the times they're on. And if it's the current versus anybody, it's 7:30, and then sporting versus anybody, he will pick the current game
That's amazing.
to watch, which I think is so cool. I think it's so cool. So, yeah, I think with that, another great AGY performance podcast. Yeah, follow along. I think we're supposed to say hit sub. I don't know. Jake is in charge of that. So until next time, we will see you all later.
Shoot, what did you just do? Oh, okay.